phone away.
No.
I'm not doing it.
Not doing it.
It's not cumulative.
Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Just getting back to my native roots.
Your native roots, huh?
Yes.
Your native Bulgarian roots?
Yes.
Well, he's an American.
American? Are you a native Bulgarian American?
We had an empire twice in our history. Therefore, we are important.
Okay. Are you still relevant today?
Shut up.
Welcome to the Dragon's Flow Teacast.
I am the Bulgarian.
I'm not.
The one with the accent is the Bulgarian.
Surprise.
We all have accents. We're just used to ours.
Yes, as we sort of realized, maybe a little unconsciously, maybe some more than others. I think the T-Man kind of always knows, but yeah.
I hate my accent.
We have Chicago accents.
Speaking of accents, John, your accent sounds slightly different today.
Does it?
Why do you think that might be?
I was kind of leading into that.
I'm being subtle.
Yeah,
you're being like super forceful.
All right, y'all. Just you know why it is. It's because we were down south.
Down south? Why would we down south?
I wonder where we went to.
Ironically, we went down south for the Midwest Tea Fest.
Midwest Tea Fest?
Mm-hmm.
Where was that, John?
Houston.
No. That's next year. So yeah, we are...
Spoilers.
We have returned from the Midwest Tea Fest. And
Kansas City.
In Kansas City, Missouri. And boy, was it something. Anyone wants to begin?
I'll begin by saying it was fun. We met a lot of interesting people and had some interesting things. Yeah, interesting.
You okay?
The word of the day.
Today's word is interesting. Brought to you live the letter I.
Yeah, it was an overall really great experience. I'm waiting a couple days to make sure I don't get slapped with any last-minute hotel fees that they are going to BS before giving that a good review. And the convention itself, I'll hold off for a second, but it's fantastic. For those of you that have never heard of it, Google it. Midwest Tea Fest. The people are great. The atmosphere is fantastic. Yep. And it's expanded from 1 day to 2 days. So I was really happy to see that as we went last year. And yeah.
Yep. Sold out of quite a lot of stuff. We did better than I had initially anticipated. We hit my ideal, and I usually set my ideal to what I don't think we can really get, but hopefully we will. And so...
You are like the optimist of optimists. So, yeah, if we hit your expectations and then exceeded them, we did good.
Wait, I thought I was a pessimist.
Optimist
you're,
through pessimism.
You're that weird brand that you have. I'm an optimism through negativity, and you are sort of the opposite. What did you call it?
Pessimism through... I forget. But I'm like...
Think about it.
I can see how good things could be, and so that's why I'm always mad, because they don't live up anywhere near their potential.
Oh, okay.
And the Midwest Tea Fest did it. Lived up to its potential. It
did.
It was actually pretty interesting because, like I said, we went last year. Last year was 1 day. And I don't remember the number, but the number was pretty much the same as last year for the number of attendees.
Really?
Yeah, it was around 800-something.
Yeah. So it was 800-something, and we still managed to do better than last year. And I think it's because, people were allowed to look a little bit more and, come back.
Yeah. And it was also a little... It was physically bigger.
Yeah, they opened up some new spaces, which, you'd think by doing that, there'd be less money per booth to spend on. Uh-huh. So I guess we're standing out or something.
And speaking of all that pessimism I was talking about before,
yeah, I was
going to
say this.
Yeah, if you ever do business anywhere in Kansas City, Missouri, expect to deal with incompetent, really incompetent forms of, I want to say government, but they're just too dumb to be government.
Oh, you went in a different direction than I was headed, but yeah, we were going to get into this anyway, I'm sure.
The health department just pissed off everybody because they had no clue what they were doing.
Literally everybody involved except themselves.
Yeah, even the people who had nothing to do with T, but were just like renting the building out, even they were getting pissed off by just how stupid and transparent they were being.
They owned there was a restaurant attached, so they were kind of getting in on that too, I think. But yeah, they were like, "What are you idiots up to? Mm-hmm. Get out of here."
They were trying to make us follow procedures for other food stuff that you expect for like chicken or beef or something like that, but we're making tea. So we had to like set up this like hand washing station, even though, we were selling tea pouches. And they had like this entire setup that was just getting in the way, and they were really anal about us getting it right. They ended up, I still want to know the story behind this, but they ended up charging some guy twice for the permit.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, they basically threatened him. They called him Thursday, like 20 minutes before they were closing, said, if you don't do this by Friday, you can't do the event. After he already did it.
It started Saturday.
Yeah.
It started Saturday, and a little bit of background to that. The Midwest Tea Fest bought like an event permit type of thing, and they included everybody on it. So they were kind of hit with some last minute things, but the Midwest Tea Fest, which is one of the reasons I'm saying, like, the people that run it are fantastic. They turned around and were like, hey guys, we got your back. Don't worry about it. We've got this. And he wasn't on that, like the first draft of it or something. And so they turned around and, he paid for the fee and then they charged him again. That was like the big story for the vendors. Everyone was pretty upset about that.
Yeah.
But I will say to the, they were really dumb about it, but there was, one of the workers for the inspectors, looked at our station and basically did our disinfectant for us. And that was the one that was like really much more technical. The guy that was there on the behalf was just like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Like, it came out in his demeanor.
There was the experienced, like, why are we even here kind of guy, and then there was the one that was like,
straight out of college.
Yeah, I graduated from health inspection school
yesterday.
Straight A's.
I'm gonna make this world a better place.
Yep. I'm gonna make this world a place with less salmonella. Do a little bit of good. But what I was gonna say was, as far as your I can see how this world can be a better place. What did you say? I can see how things can be improved.
Yes.
You were saying a lot of the places didn't, like, a lot of the other vendors didn't really catch your eye except for like maybe 2 or 3.
It got a little bit more when I saw the place behind us that I didn't see before. But yeah, there was a lot of tea vendors.
Yeah, it was to give you a better visualization. It was kind of like there was one big room, which was how it was set up last year, and then kind of like almost divided by a curtain so that you weren't allowed to see it unless you knew about it, like unless you had VIP access. Then there was
VIP access. That's why the Queen was back there.
Yeah, there was a room.
That was creepy.
Wait, what?
What
are you talking about?
There was a life-size cutout of the Queen of England.
Are you kidding me?
No.
You missed it?
No, I did.
A creepy old woman.
I mean, it was very, very lifelike. It was like her exact height, like sort of doing like a
like
little...
Japanese Colonel Sanders.
What?
Japanese Colonel Sanders?
Yeah, they have a statue of Colonel Sanders in front of every KFC.
I didn't know about that. It's a cardboard cutout, but sure, we can go with that.
Oh, you guys don't know about that? Sometimes
No.
he like dresses up as like Goku or like
That's actually pretty cool.
Or Santa or Evangelion. When they're doing a promotion or something.
A cosplaying statue?
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah, I have no idea why she was there, to be honest with you, but there she was.
It's preside.
She was right next to, there was a station that was just like pure London-style tea stuff.
She was in the middle of the floor when I was back there.
Yeah, but to the left of her was...
Just like
right in the middle.
Hanging out?
Yeah. Like, smack dab in the middle of the space. And, I actually stopped for a second. I'm just like, because it was staring at me. And sort of like doing a waving-ish motion, and I'm just,
A queen wave?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little 15-degree rotation.
Yeah, and she was hunched over. Oh, that was creepy.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, you weren't exactly impressed by a lot of the displays there, but I think that's because, speaking of the queen, you don't like a lot of the, let's call it classy British teas. You're more of like a sort of striking image person.
Mm-hmm. Eastern teas is his thing.
Eastern, yeah.
Yeah, and it was surprising amount of Western.
There was a lot of, it
wasn't like a pure Western hate. I mean, there was, what was the place? Herbal Alchemy, and I like their setup.
Yes, our neighbors from last year.
Here's the way I put it. I was looking
They had
around.
a good setup.
Like, I'm okay with buying tea from other people, so when I was doing my rounds looking at people, some people gave me the feel of like, ooh, this is tea. I want to go and check this out. Other people, it was kind of like, pass.
It was a bit, not artificial, but, like...
Presumptuous?
No, not even. It was just like, come back. I'll think of a word.
It was almost like they spent less time on teas and more time on everything else that wasn't.
Yeah,
like
too
pots
much,
and cups.
too much focus on appearance.
Yeah,
and not even like
not
even on image per se, but like we need to in front of our this display tea, we have to have like a little saucer with the tea in it so that you can look at it and
I like that kind
of
thing.
I do too, but when you spend a lot of time on that and not, when you spend more time on the display rather than on the product, and then you only have like 5 teas, which was that was a lot of the places only had like
now that you mention
5 things. Like we had 10 times more than that.
Yeah, and
on one side of our table.
Yeah. And there was several places were just like, do you guys sell tea? Or, oh, I see that little corner. Huh. Forget it.
There was a place along taking up an entire side of the wall that sold less tea than us. less varieties.
Yeah. The place that was like directly across, what was it? Auntie Anne's? I think was the name.
The place that I got a couple from?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the place I'm talking about.
Oh, they had less teas?
They had less teas, I think. I think they had about 20 or 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will forget. Some of them are for good reason though. Like one of my favorite booths was actually a couple. They were tea growers, and they actually had sold some tea plants to tea shops that would that were going to house this the tea plant, and presumably grow it for tea, but also be there for ambiance. And they had their little farm, and that was pretty neat.
So if any Midwest Tea Fest vendor is listening, that would be our recommendation. Make the tea more visible and accessible. Because I saw people walking out with plenty of tea, but not so much with the tea wares. And so if you want that to be the main attraction, don't put it off in the corner.
Yeah. Well, speaking of tea wares, we have a new cast iron teapot today.
Yay!
Which I bought there. Elin, how much did you pay for your cast iron pot? Which it's about the same as this one, though this one is twice the size.
It was a Christmas gift, so I'm not sure how much, but it was from Tivana, so probably like freaking $200 or some crap.
No, Tivana sold those for like 50 to 70, I think. They're big ones, and we're not talking small pots.
It's not an individual size. It's like 4 or 5 people.
I think actually at the time that you bought it, it might have been 150.
Yeah.
So, but it would have, they had enough sales to where it would be somewhere in the realm of at the very least 70, probably 80 to 150.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of Tivana, real quick. So we went to a Tivana and talked with people a little bit. There's like no communication about when they're actually going to close. Like the Tivana by us are like still getting shipments. They've not had any information about when they're actually going to close.
That's so like typical but weird. Anyway, yeah, so I got this teapot, which is exactly the same but bigger, for $23.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
That shows you how much they overcharge you there.
Yep.
Though I went on, like, they sent me a digital receipt, so I got an email from them, and I went on their site, and they're selling them online for $40.
Ooh.
So it's still a good deal, but it was cheaper at the festival. I wanted a red one. It was like a really good, like, dark, earthy red.
Mm-hmm.
And right before I got there, some guy bought all of them. It's just like, let me sell you out of your teapots of that color. It was just like,
frustrating.
Come on, guy.
What is its first tea?
Its first tea is one of our new teas.
Love story.
How fitting.
Just based on the show My Love Story, which we've talked about before on this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is a white tea with plenty of flavors to it. It's actually kind of funny. So, to those who have not been to the website yet, we have 5 brand new teas, which is included in the Collective Isles expansion pack. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So it's actually kind of funny. 2 of the new teas we got was white. One of them was a white peach tea, which we're still trying to figure out what a good name will be. And in that one's ingredients, it's got more apricots than peach. And in this other tea that we've got, the Love Story one, it's got more peach than apricots. So it's just a funny little thing that the peach white tea has got peach as the second ingredient, while this other tea, which doesn't really taste like peach, even though peach is in it, it's got its before the apricot. Just a weird little alchemical craziness that, yeah. So
yeah, it doesn't taste like peach.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, well, the apricots really bolster the peach flavor. Like, it's a very flamboyant peach tea, the white peach. And the other ingredients in Love Story are more like spices.
It's got marigold flowers and lavender flowers, along with the other stuff.
Yeah, so those sort of amp it up, but the other stuff, the spices, sort of subdue the peach flavor. So it comes out as this sort of... well, the reason we went with Love Story was because of the main character. She's kind of a sweetie. And she likes to bake. And so...
I wouldn't have caught that if you didn't hate it.
It's wonderful. And so this would kind of be like meeting her, because it's definitely, there's still that sweetness from the peach and it's there, but it's like sort of all the other spices are reminiscent of her kitchen. So she has that air about her too. So, and then similarly, it's a meeting of not opposites, but it's an odd coupling, you know, where she offers the sweetness and then the, what's the guy's name?
I want to say
Big Gorilla.
Yeah.
Let's just go with that.
Whereas he's just
Takeo.
Takeo.
Yeah,
I think.
Takeo.
Whereas Takeo is, you know, he's bold, he's big, and so it offers that dynamic to it too. And so any way we looked at it, it's like, yeah, this is a pretty good Love Story tea. Though, I have to say, this might be, I might suggest we rename it pretty soon for something that I quasi spoiled earlier.
No, you didn't. If that's what I think it is.
It is what you're thinking it is.
Okay, I don't think you did.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So.
Yeah, I know.
Don't worry about it. I think for that secret thing, we should go with the white peach.
The white... Oh, I don't know about that.
No.
Oh,
This
Stay
is my
tuned.
business.
This is fun.
Stop talking about.
We're not
On a
gonna,
completely
we're-
separate
We
note,
are not going to tell you your industrial secrets.
On a completely separate note, one of the most popular teas that we had at the convention was Gryffindor Common Room.
Yeah, we sold out of that pretty fast.
Oh yeah.
It's an off chai, so
A masala chai.
masala chai, but it's a little different. So check that out. Maybe that's something we could have next week. Oh wait, no, never mind. Next week we have a plan. We're gonna do something a little different and do a live tea tasting, and sort of demonstrate our process in real time.
Yeah.
So you can't join us next week. So meh, if you wanted to, you can't. You jerks. But you'll get a taste of what we are up to. When we're doing our tastings.
I get it.
I get it.
So, going back to Midwest for a second, one of the more interesting moments was on Sunday. We had an old lady come up and talk to us about various things. We have some items we don't sell on the website, we only sell at conventions, and something else that we'll talk about later. And she saw our Hug in a Mug. What was
Manatee.
it, Manatee? She
She was all excited about the puns,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, that's just adorable! I have the pug in a mug, but no, the manatee. Oh no, she had the Titanic." And I'm like,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never heard of that. And, oh, yes, the Titanic. It is wonderful. Yes, and so one of my favorite things to do with the tea is, especially for my pug in a mug, is I put the tea in there with hibiscus, especially, or rooibos teas, so that when it infuses, it looks as though it's bleeding out. like with the same tone of, like, tea puns are
It's
amusing.
wonderful.
It's wonderful. Look at it bleed.
It's like, oh,
T-Man picked up the mug and like, I'm just going to take it over here.
get away from my pug in a mug. That was something.
Yeah, a lot of interesting people and a lot of interesting conversations. Interesting is the day of the day of the word.
And on Saturday night, we had a good old slumber party.
Yes, watching that show that none of us can still remember the name of.
Tsurezure Children.
Oh, you got it?
I hope so. The one which, it's just a bunch of teenagers and their dating problems. And we're all just sitting around in their pajamas. Should have been eating ice cream, but we didn't have any.
I had Pocky.
Yes, we had weeaboo snacks.
Uh-huh. We had a little pillow fight that lasted for about 10 seconds just so we can say we had it.
We did. That show makes your heart hurt, man.
Only that last episode.
All of them, like,
They were all kind of like cringy, but that last episode was just like,
yeah, that ruined my life.
that was sad.
Like, this is not fair. You can't just end an episode like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean that our duo's done? She couldn't possibly mean that. They were like the closest of the couples.
It was sad.
Spoilers? I don't know. But still, it was just, after the whole time, like, there I am just, with Pocky hanging out of my mouth. No!
No, you're the perfect couple.
I want that in my life. And you're just gonna give it away.
One of the things that was mentioned that I found kind of funny is, so every decade seems to have a certain type of anime style that you can pick it out.
Oh, yeah.
And our decade is going to be a greasy shine.
Ugh. Yeah.
Can't wait to see what 2020 brings. Every anime Attack on Titan level.
Hey, I vote yeah.
There's a couple.
There's probably...
As long as it's not that like, I don't know what it was, but it was like
Berserk 3D-mation?
oh god, yeah. As long as it's not that or Flowers of Evil. Whatever they did for that made it look like junk.
I think that we're going to have some sort of breakthrough in 3D animation, and so that will get, decent,
Well, we kind of talked about this before, but it is decent now, and they do it in every show, and it's usually not noticeable, but the problem is that they make people have animation cycles when there should just be nothing.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to wait, 3 years to find out?
Oh, no.
In terms of what the next decade's anime style is going to be.
Yeah, and so before that we watched Boku no Hero, which we'll talk about in the second infusion, which should be a little shorter today. But then also, there was no Super.
Yeah.
Well, why? What?
I don't know, some kind of holiday or some crap.
Everyone else is working. Everyone else is working. Toei Animation.
I think they had some TV special or something that took its time.
Funimation, Fuji TV, and Akio Toriyama. I wanted to support the official release.
Oh boy. So something else we could talk about is I think it was last week at this point, but Team 4-Star came out with this like really half-baked apology for them being so late. And in the past, I can understand because it's, we're doing this in a free time. But when I last checked their what do you call it, the Patreon, making like $13,000 a month for doing this stuff. And people do it for DBZ Abridged. They have other projects, but those are not even a fraction as popular as DBZ Abridged. And they seem to have kind of just, we'll do it when we feel like it. Let's play video games for like 10 hours a day. Then work on Abridged for like 10 minutes. So I'm a little bit...
Okay, yeah, if they're making that much on the Patreon, then yeah, let's get to work.
Yeah. Because at that point, it's, it's your job and people are paying you directly and you're not doing it. The previous years, I honestly didn't care.
That's like... Well, how many of them are there on the team?
I guess it depends on how you slice it. The main cast is like 4 to 5 people. And then they have voice actors that come in every now and then.
I'm thinking more in terms of like, editing and, like the actual, like, hard work that... The things that take time, because to do editing, voice work, you come in, maybe it takes, a dozen tries, and then you're done. Probably with this, it takes less because you don't have to worry about the mouth flaps.
Yeah, but for like only 10 minutes per episode, you can, divide among people with the action in between. You can get all the voice acting done in a day, really. And as a guy who had to pick up video editing for certain projects and whatnot, I'm starting to understand that those 10 minutes should not be taken 2 months.
Yeah, but it's not just like, take a clip here and there. They have to worry about like, is Cell in the background while they're fighting Frieza, or they have to get clips that make, because they don't just it's not literally abridged. They make up a whole lot of new jokes, and that's another thing too, writing. Mm-hmm. And there's scenes that weren't there in the original that they have to come up with footage for, so they need to go through the archive of like 500 episodes or something, and find a scene that would work with that, and it could just be 10 seconds.
Yeah, and they do add a lot to the show. Like, I can never see Cell again without thinking, I have so many questions! So, there's a lot that goes into it. A lot is going to be told when they release the episode that we've been waiting so long for.
Yeah, well, my main issue is if go to their TFS gaming website and see how many hours of gaming footage they have up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it takes up more of their time by a wide margin.
And we don't know... Well, I don't know who's doing voice acting and who's doing the editing work. So it could just be that those two guys are killing time while stuff's being edited, or they're just killing time.
We also edit the gaming clips.
That's true, but it's a different style of editing. Like, personally, to edit a gaming video, I could do 6 hours worth in 20 minutes. For, like, an actual video, 10 minutes takes, like, 3 days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's about all we can say about that. Hopefully they'll at least be more upfront about the news. Because it was like 2 months of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last one came out was in June. End of June. So it's been more like 2.5 months now. Well, what other type of like news stuff do we have?
Well, speaking of Dragon Ball, of course, there's a little bit of news regarding that. The betas, the closed betas this weekend, and there will be an open beta in January, so that's good. I haven't gotten a code yet. They're going to be sent out this week. So if I don't get in, I hope I will. Then we'll still be able to be to do that in January. In 3 months. And they did a couple. They're starting to do character introductions. There's Goku and Vegeta out.
Honestly, they're not as entertaining as they could have been.
No, but it's a thing, I guess.
They could have really shown like more, like when you watch them, it's just kind of flashy things. You don't really get a feel for gameplay or anything of the sort. They don't feel like the character.
That's odd. That they don't feel like the character.
Yeah,
with how much love and care went into making them
so
feel like the characters.
Yeah, so whoever is editing these like 30-second clips.
Yeah, I was just watching it, and it's like, well, okay, I'll watch the next one now.
Yeah, you can replace this sprite with any other character, and like you wouldn't really be able to tell much of a difference, minus when they're doing the super attacks. But otherwise, like when you watch the actual gameplay, like they're using the actual character moves.
Yeah.
But they barely even show like a full motion. They show like the last split second before somebody gets hit. Like flash, flash, flash. Ooh, flashy, flashy, flashy. I don't just show me them fighting. Yeah.
Well, there is a ton of that out. This is more like a, here's who the cast is.
Yeah.
Which would
bit by bit.
Which should, I mean, like that's the spotlight, for you to show off who this character is.
Yeah, and they didn't do a very good job at it.
Yeah. Maybe they're just half-assing the ones everybody's already seen, like Goku and Vegeta.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Hopefully that's the case.
Everybody knows who Goku and Vegeta are.
It just reminds me, the way that you guys are describing it, like a project I made back in high school. We had to make sticky notes for a teacher, and everyone else was just like, yellow background, I'm done. And then there's me, I'm just like, oh, well, she doesn't like TV, so I'll put, a kill your TV thing on there, and then... she likes to read because she's an English teacher, so I'll put the person dreaming about books and stuff, and I'll fade it out so that you can still write over it. But by the time I was done, it didn't fulfill its purpose. Like, it would have just been annoying to write on those. This purpose is to show you, potentially their range, their possible uses, give you a good idea.
It wasn't that at all.
It's just
it was
the personality.
It was just Goku, guys, buy it.
Exactly. So I mean, it's that level of thought that what it would have been would have been ninth grade me had. It's just like you've had enough time to figure this out.
You know what it is.
You're in the industry.
It kind of reminds me of like everything so far about this game has been like, oh my god, this is the perfect thing. This is what fans have been wanting. Every aspect of this is what fans have been wanting for like 20 years.
See?
And these videos remind me more of like maybe Budokai Tenkaichi. It's just like, here's Goku, here he is.
What if they were gonna make like like an online.
Press A to mash A to Goku. You know, like it's just like it seems like it's more of a fan service. Somebody made like a fan service video.
This is Dragon Ball Z fan service.
Right.
Put your boobs away.
Which is what most of the games are, and this one isn't. And it's the thing that fans of video games and DBZ have been craving forever, and it's finally here. And okay.
I really hope somehow in the games we can find out why they call him Doctor.
Yeah. No, I hope
That's still bugging me.
We'll get to that later.
They played that too well.
Wait,
no,
we already talked about that.
Oh boy.
So that's it for Super. Do we have much else news?
Yeah, that was all the DBZ news.
Okay, well,
or all the fighters news. More more news in the Nintendo sucks area. So the Super Nintendo Classic again. Everybody pre-ordered it and is selling it on eBay because, of course, there's going to be shortages. So, scalpers first. And what does Nintendo have to say about this? Their official policy is don't buy it for more than $80 on eBay. You know what?
Guys.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a live fact check. How much does a Super Nintendo Plus go right now on eBay? What do you guys think? What's your bet?
$82.
I'm gonna say 300. 265, 200, 152. All right. Don't buy it for more than $80. Oh, this one's 600. I don't know why.
It's
I haven't
good.
seen it for less than 100 yet. Oh, this one's 94. Nice. Wow. Don't buy it for less than 80. You can't. So, yeah. They're out of touch. And they say they're going to dramatically increase their stock, which whatever that means. It means that they're going to make 50 more of them.
Well, I think that's true, but I think that they're going to do it while wearing masks.
What do you mean?
Well, just most people that read that go, oh, they're going to dramatically increase their stock. That means, a few hundred, few thousand, whatever it'll be. And, meanwhile, they're just like, hark, let us make yet another. What? Another dramatic pause. They are literally dramatically increasing their stock, not dramatically increasing the number.
I gotcha. They're going to increase their stock dramatically.
Exactly.
And also, there could be Switch shortages this holiday. Apparently, the reason is not Nintendo's fault.
Oh, good.
Put that in quotes. But the people that make the controller parts have supply shortages or something. Because Nintendo apparently doesn't do any kind of research on who they buy parts from and sign contracts with before they decide to make the most well-selling product in their their history or whatever. It's probably not the most well-selling product in their history, but come on. Mm-hmm. If you're going to make a console, make sure that you can supply literally millions of them.
And don't make a broken one.
It's like, guys, our last one didn't sell that didn't sell too good. Let's just let's leave,
Yeah, I mean, Sony and Microsoft, they can at least supply their broken ones.
Ugh. What else do we have going on?
And the final bit of news that I have is Okami, or Okami.
Thank you.
If you want to pronounce it wrong.
Okami.
is being announced for PS4, Xbox One, and PC with 4K support. So that's great news. This is originally a PS2 and later a Wii game. Surprising that it's coming to PC. This is like... okay, so... This was a game created by Hideki Kamiya, who is known for kind of trolling the people who want his games to be ported to other consoles on Twitter. So, like, well, when's Bayonetta coming out on non-Nintendo platforms? And then, he'll respond with, ask Sony or something, even though they have no control over it. So it's just like, super troll. And people have literally been asking for this for probably over a decade. And every time he's like, don't stop asking me. You're blocked now. And here it is. This is out of nowhere. Though, following the release of Bayonetta and Vanquish for the PC, which is really weird. Like, those also came out of nowhere. There's a third one, too. I forget. But, yeah. Good game. Check it out. It'll be interesting on PC with with mouse controls, because it's a game where you use like a magical brush to kill your enemies. Excuse me.
That was not a joke. He actually just sneezed.
I sneezed. Yeah, you use your brush to do attacks and
I remember seeing
special effects and stuff. Yeah, it's a really good game. Really long game too.
Especially if you're bad at painting.
Especially if you're bad at painting, or if you live in a brightly lit room with your Wii, and it constantly goes out of control because of that.
Or if you have no arms.
Yeah, most games are probably pretty long, like if you're like that. And I think that's about it for news.
Okay.
In that case,
well, for this week in tea, I want to sort of call back to a conversation I was having with somebody at the Houston Tea Festival. It was actually really interesting to talk to him.
You mean Midwest?
Nope. So
okay.
He and I got to talking about Lepsang's Hushang, and there's a few stories floating around about how that tea originated. So I'll tell you my favorite version and sort of the supplementary, more likely versions. So, for those of you that know Chinese history, they had some pretty nasty wars, like most large countries. And this one, let's just call them Side A and Side B. So Side A army was retreating, and eventually, took a stronghold in a tea plantation, where they had just done the harvest. And then Army B was approaching, and they had barricaded themselves in there, were holed up. And so what they did to counter the protection was they burned the tea surrounding, or they burned the fields. And so inside, for 3 days the fire burned, and inside of the stronghold, if you will, the tea was just ruined. And so the people, when they eventually got their thing back, because the conflict resolved, they couldn't find anywhere to sell it in China. But that was the time that they started to trade with the Dutch, and so they saw these poor idiot white guys, and they said, "Oh, we have just developed the emperor's finest tea. We actually can't sell this to you guys at any price." And so eventually, the Dutch were wrangled into this.
The newest in tea tack.
Yeah, the newest in tea tack, and they, bought it at some ridiculously high prices back to Europe, and the tea just blew up. It became like one of the most popular, highly sought out teas in part due to the marketing, but in part because it's a really distinctive smoky flavor. And eventually, this worked out for the Chinese too, because it looped back around, and to this day, it's one of their prized teas. So Lapsang Souchong, if you were into tea for a while, if you had a lot of teas and you were looking for something different, a lot of places do still carry it, especially if they have bigger tea varieties. It's in our autumn bonfire, which was what gives it its smoky smell. But
it's one of the lesser ingredients.
yes. So even though it's one of the lesser ingredients, it's still you can taste it and smell it. But try Lapsang Souchong; it's really interesting. Now, what's more likely that happened is the same sort of idea. We had the two armies that were coming into this tea plantation, and the people plantation, where they were growing the tea farm. And they harvested it, and they didn't want to lose their tea crop, and so they just brought it to smokehouses as opposed to like how they actually processed it, and it got really, really smoky. Same sort of idea. Still, nobody would buy that in China because in China, especially emperors, they would look down on you if you flavored it with peach, for example, as we were talking about peach flavored teas earlier. To have it basically hickory smoked, it's just like, what are you doing? But yeah, so that's Lapsang Souchong. So specific teas, some of them have histories, and sometimes it starts. This is one of the few cases where it sort of started in racism and ended up good for everybody.
Yay. Started as a huge troll scam.
And in the end, everyone benefits.
Yeah, we personally call it campfire or bonfire tea.
Yeah. Yes, we do. And
actually, it's in autumn bonfire, so it's also technically, we call it that too.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Yes.
Good job, English major.
All right.
Well, like as a joke,
save this.
We call it bonfire tea. It tastes like a bonfire.
So this is a poor transition, but we're about to put our bonfire somewhere different. Where will we be putting our bonfire?
I'm gonna do that differently. The Dragon's Treasure, after 2 years, is announcing its first expansion pack. And some of you who follow us on Facebook already know about this, but I'm doing it for the ones who don't. We're announcing our first expansion pack, the Collective Isles. And the reason I call it that is because we're going to finally be located in a physical storefront. Yay! After about, what is it now, 2 months of lots of talking and negotiating and whatnot, we're going to be part of a storefront called the Collective. What it is a
store.
I'm brain broke. No, it has specific. They call them incubator shops, and what it is a bunch of little small business owners. We have one person who does glass blowing, one person who does woodworking. We have an artist, like various other little independent islands coming together in this one building known as the Collective. And the Dragon's Treasure will be a part of that. Hence the Collective Isles. Huh?
Yeah. I thought you were going with, isles. I heard first isles as in, the islands, but it's also like Isle 3 or 6. Although it has no aisles.
We're going to sell tea and tea accessories. As of now, we don't have actual cups because we got to keep dealing with health department stuff. But eventually we're going to have on-site samples and cups.
Cool.
So as soon as all of that bull crap is taken care of, I hate this stuff. I can actually do my job and make some money for the city.
So the first teas entering the Collective are Silver Needle with Jasmine, i.e. the tea that'll pierce the heavens.
Oos!
Snow Dragon, White Peach, Gunpowder, the Dragon Balls, Cherry Green. We're putting our bonfire there. Chamomile, River Dragon, and my favorite, Coconut Pouchon. Mm-hmm. So those will be the original teas in the first physical location. It's located right across from the Mount Prospect train station. So, I mean, it is literally right in front of it. Can't miss it.
They didn't want the Darjeeling?
We don't have... so, like I said, we did really well at the Midwest Tea Fest, and we got to do a lot of restocking.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll eventually be there.
Did we sell out all the Darjeeling that we had?
Not all of it, no. But I also need new bags. But also, we're going to have the menus there, so if anybody wants a tea that's not at the shop will contact us, and we'll bring it on over to you the same or next day, and then they can...
Probably within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Or let's say within half an hour, but yeah, we can bring it in right away.
Mm-hmm. The address is 13 East Prospect Avenue in Mount Prospect, Illinois.
So
Yes.
we talked a few weeks back about the Darjeeling scarcity /
Unavailability?
yeah. But we managed to get it.
Yeah.
And sold out of it.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Mostly.
The Darjeeling was actually interesting. So, actually, right before our Teacast last week, we had met with some people from the collective, and we did a tea tasting. And most of it went pretty well. I'm actually still a little bit heartbroken because we put our bonfire in their mouth, and then they wanted coconut
Stop
pouchong. And then they wanted coconut pouchong, but their taste buds were burnt. And it just...
literally or...
Well, it's a very, very flavorful tea.
Overwhelmed.
Coconut
okay.
pouchong, the coconut's there, the pouchong flavor's there, but it's a much more subtle tea. And it was at that point that they had sort of started to get a little bit rowdy from the caffeine and excitement. So, they're just like, they asked us what our favorite teas were. I had my response, and of course, I always talk about how the coconut comes off almost like a vanilla. And so they felt finally confident enough to go, hey, can we try some of that? And the tea man's like, yep, let's do it. And he just ran off because he's jacked up on caffeine and adrenaline. And so we brewed it up and it fell flat. And so that's one of the things we learned. But then later on, we did brew our Darjeeling, which is what made me think about this. And it was fascinating because the Darjeeling, one of them wasn't really a fan of black teas in general. And so we brewed it just slightly light, and that was great for her. It was also, that's how I would have it. And then we waited.
I don't like black tea either, but I tried that and it was great.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I mean, it is a tea drinker's drink. And I actually, made sure to say, this is not something that I would probably serve my cousins, because this is, someone that enjoys tea, someone that appreciates the complexity and flavor, that can appreciate the full mouthfeel. And also, so we had it at that level. We waited about 15 seconds, gave it to the black tea drinker, and it was good. And then about 15 to 20 seconds after that, we gave her the rest, and she had finished her cup. And she's just like, oh my gosh, that 15 seconds added so much to the flavor because she likes it strong.
Yeah.
And you could just see, I mean, it was really nice to see, because that's why you do tea tastings, is to sort of see those light bulbs go off, to experience, all these subtle nuances. But, like, at that moment, she had that aha moment,
Yeah.
And I'm making a conscious effort now to sort of build that into more tea tastings. So Darjeeling would be a great tea because it does change very quickly, but not in an unpleasant way. I could make it unpleasant and just do Earth Kingdom, but there's more to, like, tea tastings proper than just, like, this is the best flavor that you'll get, period. It's just like, check this out, drink.
Yeah.
All right, that was good, right? Try it now. Look at that. Look how that changed. Isn't that incredible? Try it now. Yeah, I know. I know. So to set it up, I think there's something that I'm going to play with structurally. Structurally in terms of presentations. Yeah.
Speaking of which, at the end of the first day of the Midwest Tea Fest, we were drinking all of the cold samples.
Yeah, that was something.
That, just to see what they were like. And there was one It was
Super Saiyan Rose.
Yeah.
It tasted like hard alcohol. It was just vile. I think we might have overbrewed it a little to begin with, but
something
after
happened.
Sitting there for
it had
a couple
dregs
hours
or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Because I tried it. That was the tea that I brought with me in the car for the ride back, and it was fine. You know, like just iced.
Yeah.
It's still a little strong, but yeah, it tasted like hard liquor. That one, I don't know what happened. Like how it got like dregs and just continued to brew. Because most teas will stop after a while. That one just didn't. It was like,
It's
man,
just like
yeah. I will destroy this world.
Ningen.
Oh man. But the rest of it. Actually, there were some surprises. I'm trying to think. Gryffindor Common Room was actually surprisingly good iced. Because iced chai doesn't sound like a good idea to me, especially without milk. You know, like I've had iced chai lattes.
That's what.
But without milk is just
what,
weird.
Not Thai. Or yeah, Thai iced tea is.
Yeah, but that's with milk.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the important ingredients. Like, you know, that's take away milk from ice cream. I mean, like, it's sort of an important part. You know.
Yeah. I guess.
And sugar, because it was also unsweetened.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
And those are two main things that you need for Thai iced tea. This is some other surprises. Anyways, this keeps lowering. Sorry, mic problems. It was nice to continually try, you know, new iced teas, teas at different strengths, and conventions are wonderful places. If you haven't been to one yet, go. Doesn't have to be one that we're to, though we prefer it. Just go and experience it.
Mm-hmm. Right, I think that just about wraps up this podcast.
Oh yeah. By the way, we didn't do the special video. There was no room in the car for the equipment.
Yeah.
So if you're waiting on that,
ain't gonna happen, boy.
You're gonna be waiting
a while, about a year.
At least.
Or maybe just a couple of months, who knows?
Maybe.
Join us for a shorter second infusion for Boku no Hero and maybe Tsurezure Children.
Maybe.
Tsurezure Children. Hergadibadoo Children.
Hergadoo Children.
See you there. I need my phone to be charged.
Yeah.
I'm a businessman.
I'm a businessman.
I'm gonna lick your microphone pop filter.
You said it, not me.
I was glad he did.
No, you just did it. You didn't say it. You just kind of idly sat there and I'm licking things.
And then I told Mr.
I'm helping.
I am. And I told Mr. Nick what's wrong with his monitor. And so he turned around, which gave me a couple more licks. And finally he realized what was going on.
Finally. It was like half a second, and then I was just like...
It was longer than half a second.
I am an idiot.
By the way, this tastes nothing like dragons.
Okay.
Wait, is this the dragon one?
Yeah, Dragon Pad.
Yeah, Dragon Pad. Doesn't taste like dragons.
It's not flavored like dragons. It's just the brand.
But you'd think if they were using it as a pad, it would taste like dragons.
Yeah.
Guys.
Welcome to the Teacast, second infusion.
Dragons aren't real.
Hey, bring out the dragons.
From fantasy. So this week,
it's not cumulative. This trip also brought with it many inside jokes.
Yes, it did. You're welcome. What was? Oh yeah. So this week
you're welcome to not understand our inside jokes.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna do the Boku no Hero like normal. We also watched Tsurezure Children.
Snurberderg.
Children. And then I'm gonna touch on Knights and Magic, because I caught up with that last night, and they went in a direction that I'm happy they went. So great. I guess to get things started, Boku no Hero.
And they proved why everyone's waifu was a waifu. She has no weaknesses.
Except embarrassment when she vomits her stuff.
Which I can make a couple of other jokes about that, but this is rated PG-13.
Is it?
It's rated not explicit.
So, fill in the blanks.
There was a lot of successes this week. Like, did anyone else fail
Anyone else fail?
besides the idiots?
Besides the idiots? Which ones were the idiots?
The first ones.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. So, Birdman and Waifu managed to pass. Oh, yeah, the what do you call it? Nick, scroll up.
Scroll up.
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 The fortune cookies.
What?
We gotta talk about those.
Okay.
In the second infusion, let's talk about the fortune cookies.
All right. Forget My Hero Academia.
Forget it! Talk
It's
about
time
the
to
fortune
talk
cookies.
about fortune cookies.
So all three of us got fortune cookies that very accurately represented us.
We went to like the smallest Chinese buffet in the world.
I used child slave labor.
Yes.
For all we know, she was 30.
I'm not sure you could qualify her as a slave, but she was definitely a child.
Right. So
playing with her coloring books.
Nick, you can read those. The first one was from the T-Man. That's me. What did it say?
Do your work with your whole heart, and you will succeed.
Yeah. And I do a lot of work with the heart. The next one is from the T guy, Mr. John, and it read,
Your greatest asset is not the quantity of your friends, rather the quality of your friends.
It's true.
yeah. And Nick, what did you say?
I'm not gonna read it.
Say it, Nick.
I'm not doing it.
Nick, read it.
I'm not doing it.
As your boss, I command you.
Come back later. I am sleeping. Yes, cookies need their sleep too.
Oh, so accurate. Okay, back to My Hero Academia. So yeah, Birdman and Waifu.
Screw you guys. And your cookies.
So in guessing like how the fights were going to go, one, I didn't think they were going to get through this many.
As if the conversation never happened.
And then for two, I wouldn't have guessed that they were going to use some sort of odd deception for the handcuffs for Birdman and Waifu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good.
That was fun. And then we got a little bit of character development from, let's call it Fan Service Lady and Todoroki.
Yeah, they made her unusually unconfident.
I could kind of
Yeah.
understand. You know, going from best in class to everybody just outshined you is kind of... It crushes you.
Well, also
Being outshined once.
she got in through like the selection program or whatever it was called,
Mm-hmm.
the recommendation thing.
Yes.
So I think she also kind of had the feeling where like everybody else worked their way in and she just got a free pass.
Yeah, she came
So
from
she's
money,
like, do I really deserve this, or is it just because I got in there?
They went a pretty similar route to what I expected with that, like she did anyways. Like I figured that she should just be making, smoke bombs, and they went with flashbangs. Same idea.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty smart.
Yeah.
And they fought him, and yeah, they won. Though Todoroki, looking at it from like the storytelling perspective, he didn't really think too much,
Yeah.
One thing they did, which I'm both happy with and sad with, is Aizawa Sensei. The fact that he got so messed up actually affects him from this point on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good to finally see, consequences of someone getting their crap messed up.
Yeah, finally. I mean, like Might Guy.
Night guy.
Like All Might.
I mean, just like an anime in general. Like, everyone's got their own version of a sensu bean.
Yeah.
So far, actually, almost every character has had some sort of
It's been a
ramification.
week. I'm perfectly fine now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, almost every character in the show, though, had some sort of consequence.
Yeah, that's why...
In Yakuza, there's a scene where the main character gets shot like 3 times, and he's like, "Oh, I'm bleeding out in an alley," and then cut forward to him waking up, and it's been like a day, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go fight the guys now," and he's got his shirt off, and there's like no marks whatsoever.
God, I was watching the final fight scene in Brotherhood a few days ago, and if anyone remembers, Edward had like these metal poles just like shoved into his arm, like straight through the bicep and the forearm, and things happened. He got his other arm back. He just pulled those guys out and he was moving around like absolutely nothing happened. I really hope that, like, I want injuries to make injuries great again. Let's go with that. I want anime
that sounds terrible.
Anime's really got to stop with this. I'm a hero, so I'm going to pretend like, muscles don't exist and I don't have my biceps ripped off me.
I watch anime to make sure that I watch them suffer.
I want consequences when they do stuff. That's all.
Make consequences great again.
Make consequences great again. Anime is reason for hurricanes.
Yeah, and that she noticed that, speaks about to her character. And also, it was a nice reveal that you had 2 votes. One of them came from me.
Yeah, that was good.
Believe in you that believes in me came out strong in this episode.
Then we had a nice little preview of how the next fight was going to go with Urahara and Belly Button Like Dude. He drops the L word. You were thinking of what Midoriya will do, huh? Do you like him?
Like him?
Oh, what was that? I don't think that was in the preview, right? That was like just something that was happening at that time?
That was like a super preview, because that's going to happen next episode.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was just something that was happening right now. But yeah, what was that? Like him?
It was
him?
actually
like
I think it was like a pre-preview. It was
Yeah.
like the last scene, and then next time.
Mm-hmm. Like of all of her priorities at that moment, she had to replay that. Like him?
This might have been the moment of like somebody like finally said it to her and like she realizes it, like, oh shit, that's what that feeling down there is, or whatever.
No, that is a black hole. Which leads in surprising well to Tsurezure Children. Also, that is a black hole.
Black hole? Why?
Like, they go from fully functional kids to, like, just obsessed with, like, the smallest things.
Yeah.
Like, case in point would be Guru-chan and...
Oh, Godaku.
And
Godaku.
girl.
Yeah.
And whatever her name is, yeah.
Girl.
Everyone's just painfully generic, so names don't matter.
Yeah.
Besides
Call him by their
Godaku,
hair
actually.
colored. Their hair colored and style, that's how you recognize
Goda's great.
Yeah, he is.
He's just this big lug who says everything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment where, you're waiting for... So one guy is a very good-looking, popular character, and he likes sort of... she's not quite emotionless, but she's very unconfident, and she feels she's very generic girl 1. And he confesses to her, and, like, just straight out, and she didn't get it, and he's just like, okay, I'll say it again, and she still didn't get it. And he's like, how should someone propose to you? Like, how should someone do this? And she goes, well, I wouldn't like them if they did. And so he works hard for, like, an episode or 2.
Because there's probably something wrong with them if they're like me.
Exactly, which is an awesome response, by the way.
That's what I say.
Petersonian. And so anyways, he gives up, and then she starts, of course, developing feelings for him.
She doesn't know what they are.
Nice.
She's like, what is this feeling I get when I see him? I think I have a fever. Here's my saxophone.
And so there they are in the... Yeah, here's my saxophone. That was a great scene, too.
Yeah.
And so finally, they're in the pool, because the Japanese
about that.
people have pool class. And... I mean, like, swimming pool. And, he's looking over at her, and she's just like, oh, I wonder who he's looking at. Oh, man, I keep catching his eye. That's sort of awkward, because he must be staring at somebody. I should apologize, because I keep catching his eye when he's trying to stare at other girls. And so they're there, and he's just like, oh, man, she keeps catching me staring at her. I don't want her to feel awkward. And so she's like, hey, sorry, I keep doing that. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, who are you trying to look at? I keep catching your eye by accident. He's like, oh, I'm looking at you. Dive. And then, she swims to the other end like, whatever could he have meant by that? That he was looking at me? Why would he look at me by accident? Probably, right? Maybe? And then, she goes up and she just, oh, I'm so glad to hear you say that because I like you too, whatever, Taka-chan. And he's just, but I'm Goto-kun. And there he is, just all in his glory there.
And, like, really deadpan.
Uh-huh.
Like, hard deadpan.
That was one of my...
Then he was like, if you want, I can pass the message.
No,
it's just...
No, moment's gone. Okay. But yeah, it's a black hole that's swallowing his life, that relationship. She just keeps, like, one thing after another, like, hey, I know that you arm wrestle that person. Don't ever do that again! And he's just like...
Different girl.
Yeah, different girl, his actual girlfriend.
Goto-kun's actual lady friend.
Girlfriend. And then,
blue-haired girl.
She's like, you don't think I'm terrible for wanting that, right? And he's just like, oh no, I get where you're coming from. All right, yeah, so then don't be nice to people unless you're nicer to me. You have to at least be nicer to me. Not just as nice, but nicer. Even if I don't want it.
And don't touch anyone else. So don't look them in the eye. And make sure that you never talk to anyone if they're trying to flirt with you. Unless...
I got like PTSD watching that.
I understand.
I don't.
But anyway, yeah. So
no, I understand on his behalf.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, Kun, come here. Yeah. So they went about this quite well because his relationship is accelerating quite fast, and they left it off on a terrible note because there's this couple that the guy didn't even realize they'd been dating for a year. He thought that she was just kidding, and they're like the closest out of all of them because they're almost like incest.
They're like childhood friends, and so they always like play these, like, they call them skits with each other. And so when she said, I like you,
he calls them.
Yeah. No, she used to do it as well up until the dating part because she wanted to be more serious. And she's like, what's his name? Like, I don't know. Whatever Chan. Andy Chan. I like you. He was like, yeah, well, I like you more. And he thought they were playing a skit.
A year later, she's just like, why haven't we kissed? He's like, what?
It's like, we're dating, right?
We'd have
Who's
to be dating first.
Yeah.
She's like, we have been dating! What?
Who?
No, he was like, what? She was like, why haven't we kissed? Oh, well, that's something you should do with someone you really care about.
Yeah, exactly. And so they've been, is cock blocking the word? What's the word for what they've been doing?
Idiocy.
Idiocy. There's a great clip of them. If you type in TSU...
TSUER.
It's in the title.
It'll be suggested to you, okay? It'll be Tsurezure, and it'll be one of the first things that pops up is them. She basically just calls his bluff, like, I want to do it. Or she finds his porn stash. She's like, why don't you just do me? And he's just like, I am the proud child of so-and-so. I will do it to you. And they're like, oh, we should kiss first. Oh yeah, we should do that. And then in his head is like, oh man, my breath might stink. And so he goes, I have to poop. And she's like, you just pooped! And yeah, so anyway, after that episode, they spend literally 3 episodes not kissing. And finally, we got this last episode. They actually kissed. And, the girl left! My life is ruined! She's like, this duo of ours is done. And it wasn't a skit. She was mad.
The reason why is because he tried to get his courage, and he went downstairs, opened the fridge, and presumably found some alcohol, and decided to get some liquid courage. He
probably didn't, though. He was lucid after that scene. Like, He came up pretending to be drunk, and he smelled of it, so he probably, like, sprinkled it on himself. And so he's like, come here, baby. And she's just like, no, this should be a precious, cherished memory. And then, finally he, like, just kisses her, and he's just like, oh my gosh, I finally, he breaks the scene.
Yeah, I did it.
And then he's just like, and I think he says right beforehand that he wasn't that way, but he just, he had to, like, make the skit more real, because the more he was using skits, the more they fell flat when he tried to make them real.
Oh, there was also a few other times which he tried to kiss her via skit, but then she did something to kind of mess it up. And so he's been trying via skits, but just always falling short.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's his fault, because, like, one time he was the alien. She's like, "Ka, ka, 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 ka," and then, she's just like, you know what, fuck it, I'll close my eyes. And he's like,
Yeah, it's
Something like that.
Yeah.
It kind of goes like that, I guess. I don't know.
and then stops. So anyways, he did something, and then he said it, I think, last second that he didn't, and then he was just completely regular after that, but then she was pissed and just stormed out, and that's the end of the episode, and that was it, and I haven't slept ever since that, okay? Tsurezure Children's ruining my life.
It's from Sweden.
Is it?
No, just Tsurezure Children.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So, yeah, it's they're only 15-minute episodes.
10.
10 minutes. They do like 5 plots each one. They have
they managed to get through a lot in each episode.
So we haven't really said this too well, but they have like almost every type of romantic relation besides homosexual. Like between two people, they have the domineering type of relationship. They have the sibling type relationship. They have the super masculine, super feminine relationship. They have the nerd and the pretty girl.
Oh yeah.
They have the pretty boy and the flamboyant pretty boy and the what would typically be like a masculine woman.
The will they won't they relationship.
What?
The will they won't they.
Which one's that?
The emotionless girl and the popular guy.
Oh yeah, that's will they won't they. So they have all these subplots going, and whatever gets your juices going, it's in there, and it's sort of like a catalyst to everything else, because a lot of those would sort of off-put me much more than they do in the show. In particular, the like more domineering type relationship, because he's just like, let me grab your boob, and she's like, I don't want you to do that. And then he like manipulates the conversation to force it into be like her being like, okay, you can do it, and he's like, I'm not going to. Say my name.
This was just a test.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to show you how much I'm holding back the whole time. Now say my name.
You're making it sound way creepier than it actually is.
It's creepy, okay?
Yeah, but not that creepy.
It is so that creepy.
And by the end of that skin, he was like, wait, did you actually want me to? And she just turns beet red.
Yeah. Good humor. But man, we binged watched it and totally had a preteen slumber party angst. But that's a lot. Like it was 10 episodes. Whatever is the current episode, we from 1 to that, and my heart hurt. And still hurts now because they like every other episode was just like it ends with a kiss or it ends with something nice. This one was the only one that was just like
stargazing.
It ends with stargazing. This one or a misunderstanding that's comical. This one was just like she was pissed and she left.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. It was actually like, oh man, it got serious.
God.
I just realized throughout all the plot lines, they've only touched the astronomy club one like twice, and that one's not really
3 times.
Three times.
They had the one where they did the entire plot line, and then the other 2 that don't matter. The next one where she's looking for the next astronomy club member, and then the one where he's into the one that she finds is into her, and the one that comes into the class, the third one's into the guy that's into her. So the love triangle.
Yeah.
By the way, would all men?
Yes.
Yeah.
Old, aging men.
Talking about these preteen girls. Yeah, they're gonna date.
They're gonna confess.
And actually,
they're gonna confess. Yeah, confess to her, you slut.
Yeah. Oh no, she didn't
date
get it
too fast.
She thought it was a misunderstanding. She's gone a year and they're gonna kiss. Oh, what a slut.
And on the note of dating, last time I mentioned Knights and Magic, we were talking about that princess who's just like, you're the perfect woman. Now let me go die. So I was not looking forward to her next scenes. Just because it's just like, okay, we're gonna have to get it out of the way. So this next episode, they rescue her. Surprise. They use little tiny mechs that the main character Ernesty had developed.
Nanomachines.
Not quite. They're human-sized robots as opposed to the big nightmare frames.
Oh, so like power suits?
Yeah, exactly. So they had 5 power suits for the 5 members that are going in part of this. The one who is the spy that brought him the information is there, and her job is to make sure that they have an out. And then there's 4 towers that they have to break into because she couldn't discern which one they were going to keep the princess in. And so the 4 people, Ernesty, the main character, his 2 best friends who are twins, and the king's son, the modern king's son, who's the prince, who's just basically the tea guy. He's just very fierce and passionate. That's all you really need to know about him. They are going to break into the 4 towers simultaneously, and yeah, hope for the best. So Ernesty breaks in and finds the queen, who's the mother of the princess. The girl, there's a girl and guy twin. She breaks into an empty room. The prince, the son of the king of the kingdom that everyone's from, he breaks into a room and finds his cousin, because apparently that's how they're related. Like, it's sort of like, the monarchy of real life where all the monarchs are related. And then the guy twin, who's Ernesty's best friend, he breaks into the room with the princess, and she's just like, what are you doing? You're putting yourself at risk. I am not worth all of this. She's dealing with the death of her father in a really bad way. And, he's just like, no, don't worry about that. Let's go. And she's like, why? My kingdom is gone. I have nobody that I can really rely on. People keep putting themselves in harm's way. If I stay here, I can at least do some good. I'll at least be with my people. I have no one I can rely on. And he's just like, princess, you can rely on me as long as you want. Let's go. We need to get you out. And she's like, leave without me. And, it was like this D&D type moments. Like, what do you do now? And he comes out and he's just like, I will be your knight. Please give me give me my first mission as your knight. And the reason I like this scene so much is because, in D&D too, but in general, people are so just like, I'm going to force my way, and that'll be the right way. Like, at this point, he sort of has to deal with this princess doesn't want to be saved. All I can do is offer my services. And so he gets out. He basically sacrifices the mission for a moment and gets out of his suit, gets down on his knee and pledges her, loyalty. And she's like, and then it sort of snaps her back. It puts her back into the place where she is, royalty. And she's like, get me out. And so anyways, then they get out, and now they're really setting up. I thought it was going to be Ernesty's love interest, which was going to be really out of place. They have a thing that's sort of developing.
Huh.
And so they're doing sort of like the princess and the pauper, like the cross that. And so we don't know if they can really make that work in the politics of that world, but they're playing it up nicely, and it came out. It felt rather organic, and so anyways, they're out, and again, it's not like all problems are solved. They have to deal with her emotional baggage, and so she's just moping kind of in a castle most of the time. Even after she's out, because she's not only is she dealing with the death of her father, she's like, she got to see her town was taken over and put into like awful, 8:00 curfew, being watched by giant robots territory, and from that she realized people are dying, and so everyone's just like, how do we cheer her up? And so they had a pretty decent character building episode sort of based around that. They're just like, all right, hey, night guy, you're up, it's your job. And, like the prince is like, go cheer up my cousin. And Ernesty is, and they're all sort of trying to figure out what to do. And, like the passionate guy's just like, I will show her my fun time. He's just like, just like, I know fun. And, had no idea beyond that. Ernesty is just like, well, if she was a mech, I would listen to the sound of her engine and, diagnose it from there.
It's getting hot.
And nobody was getting it, and then, yeah, so they had that. They brought the human element back, and as she was out...
I kind of like the idiot military crew.
Yeah, exactly. And they're all just like, oh. And so as they brought her out, this is sort of philosophical too. As she was being healed by being out of the castle, not just moping in her own emotional garbage. Like they went to visit the place where they made the mechs, and the main mechanic, recognized her as the princess, and he's like, "Oh shit! Whoa! Whoa!
Hide the code violations!"
Yeah. And you know, she's going around, and then she like held a hammer for the first time in her life, and you know, she's like, "Oh, it's cool," and everyone else that like holds the hammer every day looks at the hammer differently now, you know. And so she's like healing everyone else around her as she's healing herself, as opposed to like the top-down way everyone looks at it, you know, like. So it was just a really fun episode. I'm so glad, because I called it last time, like, okay, she's the love interest, I get it, okay, let's get it out of the way. To now it's just like I don't know to the detail what direction they're going to take it, but they really, really saved themselves.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one other thing happened that matters. So Ernesty really wanted a flying mech and made it. That's his personal one. Like that's the one that the show's been sort of ramping up to. And the opposing army, their big thing is basically blimps, except they're like flying fortresses. They're cooler than blimps. And so there's a genius on the other side.
Zeppelins?
Kind of, but they're like they're more like sky sail ships.
Are they filled with hydrogen?
No.
Oh.
Actually, that was one of the things that Ernesty had said. They're just like, you know, he's just like, look, they're in the sky, but they're robots. They're not blimps. This is so cool. I'm going to go take one. And so he goes up to take one, and the genius is on it. And so they outmaneuver it. But, you know, Ernesty's on top of the blimp like, Sugoi, look at this. What kind of, it's like some sort of wind magic. But how do they hold it up? I need more. I need to see more. And so he's like that on the blimp thing. And then the genius who designed the blimp thing, who's like, so Ernesty is obviously light years ahead of anyone else. In his way, this genius who made this is light years ahead of anyone else too, because he's even beyond the giant robot have to look like human things. And so he sees this mech flap, and he's just like, Sugoi, someone else learned flight. Wait, this is my territory. And like, there's this sort of pride that came out of him. He's just like, I will show him that this is my territory, but I need to see this mech. And so they're both like nerding out over each other's mechs, and they're like, you know, just hundreds of feet away from each other, but they, you know, they're saying nearly the same thing, just mirrored. You know, so it was like this really cool. They what they're doing is they're making the geniuses, which are Ernesty and him. Those are the main ones right now. Similar to, there's a couple knight figures that are just good fighters. All of them are driven by their lust. So, like, Ernesty is just lustfully, like, he just wants to find out what magic makes this thing work and then make it himself, right? And so the other guy, too, just wants to figure out how, you know, like, piece together the world, and that's, like, his lust. And then the people that are really good at fighting, like, they lust for the fighting, and that's what, you know, that's their passion, you know? Mm-hmm. Most of the time, you know, they don't play up that angle quite as ostentatiously. You know, it's just like, well, this is my job. I'm going to do my duty by the government, you know? And, like, they're almost indifferent to the you know, like, the larger implications of everything. So, you know, they're just like, I do this anyway, but I'm getting paid now. Awesome. You know? So, it's getting good again.
Yay.
Is there anything else that we should talk about on the second infusion?
So with no more throne games, we need another non-animal thing to talk about.
But still nerdy.
Still nerdy. So I figured a good one to go with is Rick and Morty.
Yay, I've seen that.
So me personally...
Thank you, John.
It wasn't me.
So me personally...
We can see your lies.
So me personally, I like Rick and Morty, but it used to be that if it ever got cancelled, I really would not lose any sleep over it. And I find it almost creepy, the fan base. I feel like they really...
Creepy?
Yeah. Because they really, like, overly obsess over it. They make it seem like it will change my freaking life. And it takes away from the show, actually. Like, they make it seem like it's going to be, like, such a big fucking deal.
Yeah, it's kind of like the My Little Pony fandom.
No, it's not like that. And it's just... but after the last episode...
By the way, we had a Brody at the Midwest Tea Fest who bought all of the ponies on principle and made sure we knew it. Anyway, keep going.
And so
keep going without defending the pony statement.
There's nothing wrong with ponies. And so the last...
That's not the
Shut up!
statement I made.
The last episode of Rick and Morty finally put me in a situation of, okay, I want to know what happens next.
Which episode was it? I'm not sure if I've seen the latest one.
The Citadel one?
I've seen most of them. Okay.
Yeah. You've seen it, right?
Is it the invincibility fields place?
No. That's like 2 episodes behind.
Then maybe I haven't.
Shame on you.
Maybe I have. I don't know. I don't remember which the last one was.
They were building the Citadel.
I'm a couple episodes behind, but we saw this one because a lot of them are episodal. This one picks up a couple scraps left behind from the plot and does some really awesome things with them. So you really need to watch it, and maybe we can talk about Rick and Morty next time.
Yeah. If Nick can get his shit together...
I will pause this recording and watch it right now if it's something I haven't seen.
Fine. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's see your dick.
I'm taking it out. Well, that was a good episode.
Mm-hmm. So what have we learned?
Don't trust Rick or Morty.
Oh, jeez. I don't know if that's right.
That's a good idea not to.
They should have trusted that one Morty at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
So it seems like they're going to actually have some type of overarching story, at least I hope they do.
That was really fantastic. That reveal at the end that he was Eye Patch Morty.
Which doesn't make sense. But sure.
Why doesn't it make sense?
Because he had the eye patch was just for show, I guess.
No, the eye patch in the original was how he was controlling the robot Rick in the first episode.
Yeah, and then that was destroyed, and so his last scene was he took off the eye patch and was in like the refugee swarm of Mortys.
I vaguely remember that now.
I had been completely resigned to thinking that they just left that alone, like with all the multiverse theories in play at the same time.
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, well, that was a thing. And you could miss that picture pretty easily.
Yeah.
But it seems like everyone just catches enough of it to go, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, that is fantastic. And the soul-crushing Black Mirror-esque, these cookies were made with the memories of the daughter. And then he goes and he just, terrorizes the station, kills people, and... He was on his way out, but now he makes our cookies forever.
That was Black Mirror-esque.
Oh my god.
From what little of it I've seen.
I only gather it from the episode 2 of Black Mirror. Maybe we should watch that, Black Mirror. I don't know if my soul can take it, but
yeah,
it's a good test.
We had a friend that had us watch an episode of that, and he's like, Nick, you'll like this because you like soul-crushing things. And I'm like, okay, thanks.
So I'm hoping they're going to do Rick and Morty versus the Citadel for the rest of the season. Maybe 1 or 2, one-off episodes.
Yeah, it'll probably be a couple off episodes. It's kind of like, I think it's probably going to be like Doctor Who, and then it's like, a 1-3 ratio of plot episodes to other episodes.
Anyone who spends time on the Citadel is an idiot. Spends the whole entire episode of the Citadel.
We learned something new.
Yeah, we did.
Well, they didn't actually go to the Citadel, though.
They didn't know.
But we did. That's the audience.
The number B, the number C. That guy.
I hate that guy.
So, yeah, this is the first time in which I'm actually excited to see the upcoming episodes. Because I want to see what they do.
Yeah, and I'll catch up on the other 2, so I can maybe make some more comment on it, but...
Which ones have you seen?
I saw the first episode and was pretty excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the second episode for sure, and I think I stopped after that, or like I just stopped seeing it. I might have seen the third, but
Did you see the pickle one?
Pickle Rick, yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite so far.
That was another one. Hold on a second. They did something. I think it was in this episode where they made a sort of very subtle nudge that way. What was it? Something Rick. Where it was the same syllable and ended in O or something, like, you know, Simple Rick. Mm-hmm. It's the same sort of, you know, I'm Simple Rick! I'm Pickle Rick!
Oh.
I think they're going to sort of play with that because that was just an immense success. Like, we've had Hurricane Ricks now, we've had...
Cool Rick.
Yeah, Cool Rick! But Cool Rick is, you know, I think the double, so...
Teenage Rick.
God, get me out of here!
This is not a dance!
But yeah, before this season, I think I've seen everything.
Yeah, it's gotten better. It was good before, now it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's a decent place to cut off the second infusion for the Tuesday, September 12th, 1984.
Okay. We'll go with that. Alright, if you want to send us any emails, you can always send it to Teacast at thedragonstreasure.com. And we'll see you next week.
When we do a live tea tasting.